recording. There we go. We should be live. Hello. I'm gonna post the announcements as well.
I'm eating food.
So, posting this one, posting live streams. Where's live streams? I can never find things. There we go. There we go. And post socials. Let's see. Post this.
We got someone in the chat saying hello.
Hello.
Drago Cuban, hello.
Hello. There we go. Okay. We should be live. Can you guys hear us fine? I posted all the announcements. Hello, Tom Tam. Hello, Dragon Cuban. Can you guys hear us fine? Are we sounding okay?
Can you hear our beautiful voices traveling through the internet and into your eardrums?
Oh. I don't know, beautiful. Very beautiful. Yay, hello, Masuplay. Sound good. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Froox, I'm here with Syro, and we are doing another Resonance. Hello, Dragon Cuban. Yay, thank you for confirming. So this is, if you haven't been here before, we are going to be answering any questions about Resonite, so whatever like you kind of want to know, whether it's technical, philosophical, you know, just about the platform, its goals in the future, you know, the past, whatever features we're working on, community stuff, like whatever you want to ask, you know, feel free to ask, and we'll try to give you the best answer we can. Some of the questions we might direct you to other office hours from our other teams, like the moderation team that just kind of happened, like primes, like office hours, our team, marketing team, and so on. But feel free to ask them. Worst case, we'll give you like more general answer and direct you to another stream. In order to ask questions, put a question mark at the end of the question, and it's gonna pop on our pin messages thing. And that way, like, we make sure not to miss it. We also have a whole bunch of questions from Discord that we're like asked in advance, so we're gonna go through those first, and we're gonna let some questions from the Twitch accumulate in the meanwhile. So with that, I think we should be good to start. So I'm gonna.
Yeah, I think we're good. We just need to let the chat know that if they ask the wrong question, we'll hate them forever.
What? No hating the chat.
No, we love you.
There we go. I'm gonna pin it here. And let's see. Let's see. This might not be exactly in order, but it should not matter. Oops! It should not like matter much for this. So the first question we got from Discord. This one's from Electra. Electra is asking, how are the current dynamic bones done? I know they are physics related, but are they based on Beppo physics for gravity inertia or a custom solver solution? And for any plans to add some of the features from the new IK, for example constraints, or is this likely to be another system redone further down the line? So it is a custom solver. The whole point is like, it's a simplified, physics simulation that's just the dynamic bone that doesn't really have complex interactions with other stuff. That makes them much more kind of performant, like overall, because they're like, very like specific purpose kind of simulation. And they're like, very tuned, for that kind of thing. Like you don't need to be simulating rigid bodies, but it's kind of like much simpler form of simulation that's, faster to do. There are some pieces of Beppo physics that we're using. They're actually not any for simulation. We're specifically using stuff like the bounding box like trees, because what we do is like because we can interact with dynamic bones, we use it to efficiently query which dynamic bones are where. So like we don't need to test every dynamic bone against every dynamic bone collider. But the actual simulation, that's a custom solution. For the IK part, yes, I actually do plan to switch, like when you grab them, I plan to switch that to using the new strike pose IK, because that will, allow you new things. Like once you add constraints, you will have constraints as well. It also for example, when I grab my ear and I twist it, you see it doesn't do anything. It's because it has a very much simpler version of fabric, which doesn't handle sort of rotation propagation, but strike pose does. So Once Strikeforce is kind of ready, like we'll be like updating the dynamic bonds with it. Don't know exactly when. Making the full body IK work first is top priority right now. So it won't happen before then, but at some point I do want to like swap it over. Next question we got is from Appleton. For collections, do you plan on adding support for using constructing lazy as well as strict collections? Essentially being able to use and create enumerable T and not just concrete list like collections. I would think that will enable composition for several data feeds and other generators into new custom data feeds. Yeah, like there'll be a bunch of like nodes, and they will generally accept like whatever is the least specific interface they need. So for example, there's gonna be like like a for each node, and you're gonna feed it a collection as an input, and that's probably gonna accept enumerable because that's the only thing it cares about. So that's gonna work with any collection that actually implements this interface. There will be a little bit of level abstraction, but generally like we kind of follow somewhat like C# kind of style because it kind of just makes sense. Say there's like another node that like adds or removes elements that can accept something like ilist or array or something, where it can work with multiple collections. That way we don't need to make multiple nodes for we don't need to make multiple nodes for multiple like different types of collections, and there's like a lot better reuse of those. So generally like to follow like the C# because like there's already like a lot of good engineering, and we kind of like just use the ideas from there. Next question's from computer user Fake. With the different subscription tiers, the only options that specify that increased storage space you get is shareable after builder, crafter, and artisan tiers. Does that mean that increased storage from lower tiers is not shareable, or is it shareable but just not specified as such on the website? No, it means it's not shareable. The shareable, it's sort of like more kind of advanced thing, so like we delegated it to like higher tiers, because we essentially like for higher tiers we want to like add like more things that make it more worthwhile to like paying like more, because if you're supporting more we want to give you more, but also from a business perspective we want to entice people to go for higher tiers. And we've had a number of discussions like where people were like make any tier shareable. The problem is if we do that we might actually end up like losing a lot of money on that, which would like endanger like development of Resonite. So it's kind of like what are those kind of business decisions you kind of have to make and you have to kind of be careful about, because in ideal like world like like we're if we had like post scarcity society, like we would not worry about money, we just make cool things and not care about this kind of stuff. But because we don't have that, we need to structure things that like motivate people to support us financially, so we can continue developing this platform and we can continue keeping it like independent. And this is like one of the ways to do that. So we try to like make it the least evil business thing, but it is what it is. And next question we got is from Yosh. Let's see, it's a big one. I'm gonna put it here maybe? Where should I put it? It's a big one. Hopefully you can read it on the stream. Yosh is asking, C#15 is getting union types. Currently a lot of functions and internals take broad interface-based class, input and use switch if statements branching on specific implemented derived types. However, there's no checking that you account for everything. Union types lets you define a closed list of types function should accept, and exhaustive matching lists will be done then compile time. They're not as powerful as say F# union types, but they're a big step from the status quo in my opinion. When Net 11 lands, do you think you'll find yourself using them? Most definitely, like this is definitely one of the cool features that's kind of coming in C#15. There's a bunch of stuff I'm looking forward to like in .NET 11 in general. They probably won't be like used in 100% of the cases. Like I would also like argue that like there is sort of checking for like that like some stuff isn't handled, but it's mostly like involves like throwing exceptions, which means If it detects something, if it detects something that like it didn't handle, it's gonna throw an exception. That way, like, we can see in the log, okay, this isn't handled, or maybe this made, like, it makes the system explode, and then we can be like, okay, why did it explode? Oh, we didn't handle this specific type. We implement handling for the type. So there is checking. It's just, not compile time checking as you would get like with these. It's more like runtime checking. But I would still consider, like, checking is just with union types, you get it at compile time, which, is better because you don't have to wait for the stuff to break. But also, you still have checking, just, runtime instead of like compile time, which this new feature allows you to do it compile time. Let's see. Next question is from Sucks the Fennec. How is the default material, the one the new objects made from that was used, picked, found? I've seen people mess it up accidentally, but it's something we actually have control over. So Resonite is a system where like it can store certain components under certain key. So a bunch of systems that generate shared materials, they'll essentially ask the system, give me this material under the default material key. I don't remember what this from memory, but let's say it's default material key, and they pass like a function where it initializes it if it does exist, but if it does exist under that key, it just gives them. So that system kind of makes sure there's only like one instance, and it can be kind of reshared between things. But if you modify an instance, then we have modified instance of the default one. Next question is from Soxtefanek. Soxtefanek is asking, when creating avatar with perfect avatar checked, I noticed it put simple avatar protection on the root of the avatar, but also all the mesh renders. Is this necessary? When adding avatar protection to avatars afterwards, is it adding to the root enough, or should I be adding to mesh renders as well? It kind of depends. So the important thing to understand is simple avatar protection. It's a relatively simple type of protection. It doesn't give you 100% protection. In fact, nothing can really give you 100% protection. We can have systems that have much robust protection, but nothing will be 100%. And everything kind of comes down to what's your risk ratio. With simple avatar protection, the reason it gets added to the mesh renderers is so you can't just take the unparent the mesh renderers from the avatar and then yoink them because they're no longer under protection. It's gonna be tied to the specific slot. So strictly speaking, it's not necessary, but adding it to also the mesh renders makes it harder to remove it. It doesn't prevent 100% ways of removing it, but it prevents few more, which might be kind of better than not. So, and that's pretty much the main reason why it's done that way. So you can get a little bit increase, you make when you do it, when you put it under the slots, you make it a little bit harder to get rid of. Next question is also from Soxtefanek. They are asking, you mentioned before that content gets migrated, updated when loaded. Are there any cases when multiple of these migration steps stack on top of each other? Actually, yes, a lot of them. The way the system works is whenever there's an upgrade running. So for example, components, they have a versioning system, and if you make a new version, it actually runs all the updates kind of in sequence, except a few cases where it kind of coded not to for one reason or another. But generally, it'll do them kind of in sequence. That way, when implementing the upgrades, each upgrade step only has to worry about how it transforms it from the version that's the immediately previous version to the version it's currently. Otherwise, if it didn't work that way, then if you make a bunch of changes, then the upgrade needs to be considering, okay, it can be upgrading from this version or from this version or from this version, and it increases the complexity of each update step, because now it has to consider upgrading from multiple different versions, and it's usually much simpler to just chain those upgrades in sequence.
Well, that kind of helps make sure it doesn't break, if you've upgraded a really old thing either, because it will run all the steps in sequence.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Otherwise, Otherwise, like, say, like, you're on version, like, we make upgrades to version 10, and if it didn't work that way, the upgrade to version 10 now has to think about, okay, what happens if I'm upgrading from version 0, version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, and, like, you have to, like, and that adds a lot of complexity. With this way, it, like, when we add version 10, the upgrade to version 10 only has to think, how do I upgrade from version 9 to version 10, and that's all it needs to care about. Because even if, like, if you spawn item that's version 0, it's gonna run upgrade from 0 to 1, to, like, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and so on. It just kind of changes them. Each one only worries about the previous state. It simplifies it. Papaltine is asking another question related to collections. Would you want to allow collections or other complex data structures to be incremental? That way they could be treated more like sources and drives and only recompute as part of structure that has changed instead of iterating over the entire collection every edit update. I don't actually know what you mean by that. Like, if you have a collection, you have a collection? Like, say, like, you have a collection and data model, you have like a list, you can, like, add things to the list or remove things from the list. So, like, I guess that would be incremental, but I don't actually really know what you mean.
Yeah, if you could clarify, I can't think of what you would mean either.
Yeah, you need to give us an example or something, but I'm not quite. I don't quite understand what you mean by incremental in this context. Next question is from Venport. For was a brief question. Have you been writing unit tests for Fabric? So far I haven't. Fabric is like one of those things that's kind of hard to unit test the actual behavior, because that can change and like a lot depending on how the chain kind of like moves around, and there can be like even like some small changes to initial conditions can like lead to like the chain being solved a bit different, so this kind of like makes it a lot harder to test. You can test some of the basic API, like making sure, for example, we're gonna add a bone, we're gonna solve it, we're gonna remove a bone, it doesn't explode, it like maintains like these things. But I don't find it like that useful to spend time like testing that, because that's like stuff that usually doesn't quite break. So right now I haven't had like need for that. And it's like the stuff that like would matter the most possibly is like stuff that's actually harder to test as unit tests. So yeah, like not right now. Like if there's like some cases like it usually depends what kind of system it is, because like if there's like system where there's like a lot built on something and like very specific behavior, we usually have like a lot of unit tests. For example, Protoflex that has lots of unit tests, because we want to make sure if we make changes to how the VM works, it doesn't explode the whole execution of like compared to unrelated things, which has happened before. The Fabric one, like there's much less risk of that, so it kind of becomes with unit tests, I like to think about like what's the cost benefit ratio, and if there's like something that would be like highly beneficial, then probably would like do more like unit tests there. With some systems we only do like unit tests like to avoid like specific types of breakages that kind of happen, but it's kind of harder to do like very broad ones, so it kind of depends. But for Fabric so far, no. Next question we've got is from computer user fake. Whenever material is missing, it uses direct checkerboard pattern. Is there any way to change this, either in-game or through modding, to a different texture? Asking because I think it should be really funny to change texture to source engine like magenta and black checkerboard. So the only way you could change that is possibly with modding. Well, actually, because we made the render open source, you could swap out the material there. So yeah, like it is actually so if it's like material completely missing, it's actually not a texture. It's a specific shader that's meant to like show like there's like shader missing. Unity itself, like by default, uses that like magenta shader, but we don't actually use that for Resonite, because Resonite's a VR application, and that tends to be very blinding. So that's kind of like the reason like why we chose like very dark checkerboard. Otherwise, like it can be very harsh like on your vision. So we made that choice. But like if you want to modify it, feel free to modify it. We probably won't add like a way to do it natively, but like you can take the render, like mod it, or like make a fork of it and do whatever.
Yeah, if you want to retinate your eyeballs out, that's on
Yes.
you.
Next question's from Mintshock. Mintshock is asking, how will data feeds interact with collections? Will it be possible to point a data feed to a collection to set have collection of all users in session? Currently, we have to have slots for stuff like this, which to just have stored as plain data. Oh, yeah, thank you for the raid. Currently, we have slots for stuff like this, which just have stored as plain data that can be easily queried. Well, I'm actually a little bit confused by this question because, like, so if you have a collection, you already have the collection, so you can, like, work, like, if you don't want slots, you just work with that collection. Data feed specifically, like, their purpose is, take some collection and turn it into, like, slots, like a template. So, like, if you don't want to have slots for stuff like that, don't use data feeds because data feeds are for turning collections into like slots and hierarchy and updating that representation in world. So if you don't want don't use don't use data feeds. There will be data feeds where you just point it towards a collection and it's gonna generate a data feed from that collection. So like you can for example have like a representation in the world, like you can have like objects that are spawned and removed like as some collection updates. But if you want just the collection of the data, just use the collection and don't use the data feeds. We've got another question. This one's also from Mintshock. It is grouped. You mentioned in one of the first resonances that you are planning on implementing keyframe animation system into Resonite at some point. Roughly how far would it will be, and what would be prerequisites that would have to be implemented first? I'm just trying to get a very rough idea on how far such system is, and if I should make myself with spatial bars. So we don't have a timeline for it right now. Right now the priority is IK. What's gonna be probably likely after IK is like the Protoflex collections, and after it probably like UI, so that's like a little bit further out for that. So yeah, no timelines. Generally, we don't do timelines even for like current priority, like IK. Like it'll be done when it's done. Yeah, like I don't have like much more to say on this one. Next question's from computer user fake. Oops, I pulled up the thing by accident. Computer user is asking, would it be possible to add more configuration to post-processing settings? I'm asking because I was looking into some of the more of the post-processing C# files and noticed ambient occlusion is currently set to medium quality. While it would be possible to just edit that file and use higher quality setting, AO can already cause a slight but noticeable dip in FPS, so raising quality for everyone wouldn't be a good idea. I'm mainly asking because I'm not experienced with Unity and I don't know if these settings get compiled away after build or if they're still somehow adjustable. So for Unity side, like they're different adjustable, like they don't really get compiled away. At least not to my knowledge. Exposing the settings, it's potentially possible. Usually our worry is gonna be, can we like maintain the setting after we switch to a completely different system? So if the settings are like very specific, like it's very specific to particular implementation of AO, we probably would not want to expose it. We would want to like wrap it around, but having some like quality setting, that's feasible. So we can have like a quality it's like like low, medium, high or something, and it's just like the system will translate it into whatever system. And there's also something that's reasonably can be supported with a new system as well. Next question we have from 99 Onan. When you were previously asked if you would do Tower IK, you said something along the lines of maybe. As for myself, 90% of the difficulty of doing Tower IK is actually food animation. For food animation data, I have to use 4 raycasts just to guess the data and then copy it to the back feed in honestly poor manner. To get the point, we'll be obviously given ability to get food animation data for front feed, or better yet, have extra static position like that attempt to reach ground from where they're placed. Currently, nobody has managed to do food planting without extreme lag. They currently slide when turning instead. I feel like native quadruped terrain adjustments can wait if we could access food animation data at the very least, but extra legs would be epic. So that's actually, like, for what you're talking about is actually specifically not IK thing, because what IK does is literally like, you give it a skeleton, and you say, hand should be here, head should be here, foot should be here, and the IK figures where the bones are. So the IK doesn't, like, figure out any of the interactions that systems that are external that are around the IK that are driving the IK. So the IK itself will not give you that, and it's not, part of it. Because that's, it is not IK's responsibility to figure out interactions with terrain like that. That's, stuff that is around the IK. Now for the stuff around the IK, that will give you like the food stuff. There's a few things you can like see, like whatever. I mean, it kind of depends what you mean by food animation data. I don't know what that means to you. So we probably can do a little bit of clarification on it, because like, so to me, like, food animation data is just like where the food is, and you should already be able to query that. Like, it's just, the object's position. So I don't know, like, if that's what you mean, or like if you want like something else. But it would probably make sense is sort of modularizing the locomotion animation into essentially a component that like you can use to, drive stuff in one world, not just the avatar. And that it would essentially have to, like, it would be doing the same simulation for the like back feed that is doing for the front feed. Like sort of like independently, from that. So I think maybe that would be like the best approach, at least from what I'm understanding. But like technically that is not part of the IK itself. That's like an additional system. Next question we got is from Heko. Heko's asking, tiny curiosity, how come order offset is long instead of an int? Do you expect more than 2 billion slots under one parent? So the reason for that is actually in practice, like when you want to set like, order of slots, it's essentially to give you spacing. So sometimes, like you build systems where you like order some things, and instead of like, just setting the order to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that creates a problem if you want to now insert an item in the middle where it becomes inefficient to do that, like to reorder them. Because now, in order to do that, you now have to shift all the items, after that. So you have to like update lots of objects, you have to update their order offsets to shift them to make space for the new item. So instead, what the system does, by default it will increment it by hundreds. So it like, it goes 0, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, so on. Now, if you want to say insert an item in between, between position like, say, but between index like 3 and 4, so that's between like, 300 and 400, you give it 350, and like you don't need to modify any of the other items. So it makes like, that reordering much more efficient, much more data efficient, and much more kind of sorting efficient. But in order to like, allow you to give you enough buffer for spacing things, it's a long just to kind of give you like, more to work with. Like if you really need to, like you can even like, space it by thousands or even 10,000s. Like it gives you a lot more kind of flexibility. And I've actually like, seen like like I don't remember where exactly. It's been like years and years, but I've actually borrowed it like from another system that had like a similar kind of logic for it. Actually, it might be like one of the Unity systems, because in Unity they kind of do similar thing where by default they're like, for order things, they like space them by, hundreds, for example, so you can like easily insert like things in the middle without having to like recompute everything afterwards. And the last question from Discord is from Flarepool. They're asking, with the new Fabric implementation, how will users be controlling bone roll in it? Also, are there any plans to implement node reference in issue 5 on GitHub? This is the character collider node. I'd have to look in that issue, but I don't know if it's related to the bone roll. I don't understand how it is. For the bone roll, like, it's already implemented, so, like, you can, just roll the bone, like, you can twist it and it's gonna propagate through the chain. We're gonna expose more features for it, so you can, like, control how it rolls, like, the reach, the power, like, like, if it, like, because it's sort of like the rotation now kind of decays. And there might be more algorithms for it as well. But it's already kind of implemented. You can play with it and you can kind of see how it behaves or check the devlog. I made, like, a video about it. For the issue, I have to, like, look it up. It would be helpful to provide links, so we don't have to, like, look it up manually. Actually, Sarah, would you be able to look that issue up? So I don't have to do it from VR.
5712. Let me see here. Let's see.
It's a little bit hard to do from VR.
Resonite issues. 5712. Add an is character collider node. Any plans to implement the node reference in issue 5712, the is character collider node? I don't really. I think this is like two questions. Generally, if you have two questions, we ask that you make them separate questions, because this has nothing to do with bone roll.
Yeah, let's make them, like, separate questions if possible. I know it's, like, for issue, like, probably I would just say give it up votes. We'll see, like, I have to, like, kind of look at it, like, I don't consider issue right now.
Yeah. Unrelated to the question, my mom might be watching the stream at some point, so hi Mom, I'm on TV.
Yay. Hello, Sarah's mom.
You're
gonna be a brown creature.
That's definitely not nerve-wracking at all.
Yes, you need to be at your best behavior.
Yes, I'm a good holy crap.
Yeah, oh my god, thank you, video underscore. Wait, we should have, hold on. There we go, there are your confetti.
Fair. We're celebrating.
Oh my god, how many did you do? Thank you.
That was a lot.
That is a lot. Why is it so many?
Holy crap. They blew up the chat history with how many they put in.
Oh my god. Thank you, beauty underscore. There's so many. Oh. Thank you.
Holy crap. Yeah,
that's so many.
Tier 1 subs.
What? Are we gonna have to be weird animals again?
Alright, dolphin stream. Let's go.
Dolphin stream. Okay, I forgot where we actually were. I think we were here. There we go.
Yeah, we didn't even get to the questions yet.
Yeah, we didn't even get to the question. It was just the Discord ones. Thank you so much, beauty underscore. So we can, that's all the questions from Discord, so we can start going through the Twitch ones. And just a reminder, if you just came in, you can ask us, anything about Resonite, whether it's development, community, future, past, whatever you want to ask about Resonite, feel free to ask. Make sure to put a question mark in your question so it kind of pops on our pinned messages, and that way, we don't lose it as the chat scrolls by. So let's get started on those. So the first question we got from Twitch chat is from Protogen Flex. Sorry, behind the question now. So the first question is, did you know that if you have a slider on a grabbable object and the slider does not have its own grabbable component, when you grab the slider and hit duplicate the whole object, the slider is duplicated? Huh? Wait, there's slider on a grabbable object. Sliders on a grabbable component. When you grab and
No, I think they're saying that if you
that
have a
sounds
grabbable object and you put a slider underneath that grabbable object somewhere, and
okay.
then you grab the slider and then duplicate it, it will duplicate the grabbable rather than the slider.
Interesting. I mean, sounds possible like a GitHub issue, maybe?
I think they're just saying it's silly.
Oh. I'd have to, I think I'd have to like sit, like visualize like the hierarchy and such, because I always like find it difficult, like in my head I'll be like, huh? That's so behind the question again.
Miss Better?
Cool.
Am I telling enough?
But if you feel there's an issue, like make a GitHub issue, please. Next question's from media underscore. I know that you've been mostly working on IK at the moment, but have you, Froox, been following along or in the right progress? It looks like it's moving along quite quickly. Yes, it is very exciting. I've also seen like there was things like they contributed a lot of like into the candidate search, so that's kind of like helping a lot. And like once kind of like done with the IK, I'm kind of like look through things and be like, okay, see what state is it in, because it is looking very promising. But I haven't had like chance to like really like deep dive into it, but it is looking very promising, and like the Bustix has been doing like amazing job on it, as well as everybody else like who's been contributing to. So it is very exciting, and I don't want to like say anything like too soon, because you know we want to do our due diligence on things, and make sure you know everything's like you know stuff like we're kind of comfortable with. But I do feel like this is making it more likely we'll actually be able to switch to a new render like sooner than later. Assuming you know everything goes like okay, which like it seems it is, but I haven't had like you know the chance to like deeply look into it, so I don't want to speak too soon. But it is definitely very promising.
Tomorrow.
No. I don't need to turn off a thing. There we go. Some random person 412 is asking, how many Frooxes does it take to screw a light bulb? Just one.
What is a light bulb?
A bulb. It bulbs.
What
It's a
is
light
a-
that bulbs.
It's a light that do you bulb?
I bulb the light.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's actually fun
See.
because I recently bought some light bulbs because some of them went out and I screwed them in, so just one. Next question we have. Keep it like being behind the question. Drago Kuvin's asking, I wish I could play Resonite in VR, but the only headset I have is Quest 3, and SteamVR support for Quest is not that good. How much longer till we get a Quest release? So we don't have any timeline for it, unfortunately. That's like a relatively like big project. We definitely do need to switch to a different renderer first, which like it looks like it might happen this year. It doesn't mean that Quest 3 support is like native support is gonna happen this year, but like it means we're gonna be like much closer to it. One thing I do wanna like mention though is like Quest support also involves other things. Essentially native standalone support, it kind of requires content segregation, because even like with the best optimizations, the Quest like standalone hardware is essentially mobile hardware. It cannot like do as much as your PC can, or as a powerful PC can. So it doesn't matter how much you optimize, you need to have less geometry, you need to have like you know less texture usage. So it'll require like you know the content to be segregated. So like standalone Quest support is not, or it's not gonna mean that like you can play everything you can play on PC. There will have to be content that's made specifically, you know, to be light enough for the mobile hardware. So it's not gonna be, you know, quite the exactly same experience, unfortunately. This said, like there's also other options for streaming, like SteamVR. Like there's you I generally recommend like Steam Link. Steam Link tends to work really well. You can try like in a virtual desktop. There's like if you like want to experiment, there's like ALVR. There's a bunch of different options, so it might be worth trying different ones and seeing what kind of experience you get. Because they have like different strengths, they have different weaknesses, and even depending on what your PC is, you might get like different experience from other people. So I'll definitely give those a try as well.
My question barrier.
Next question's from some random person 412. Hey Froox, can I sell Froox's bloop from the Discord channel and make it into a plushie and sell it as official Resonite merch? Short answer, no. A long answer, send us a business email and then maybe. Pixelrite is asking, what a dog doing? Streaming.
I don't know. I mean, technically I'm not a dog.
I'm not a dog either, but we're streaming. We're doing this.
Yeah, I guess the. Well, I mean, I guess is the company technically not named after you then?
No, it's after a meme of me.
Okay.
Drago Coven's asking, are you all on answering old questions? No, we're just kind of going through them in order, so like it can take a little bit to get to your question. Which we got to just now. So random person 412 is asking, where are the questions asked? I can't find on Discord. They're asked here, like this, like you just asked it.
Yeah,
You're doing it right now.
Before we stream, we like Froox will tend to like make a Discord thread that you can go and ask like, like 3 questions in, and then we'll get to them on the next resonance. That's just for like if you want to ask a question and you can't really make it to the next resonance, you can still get your question in by putting it on the Discord. But then once you're actually here, you can actually ask them in the chat with a question mark, and they'll appear on our pin messages.
Yes. So like you're doing it right. This is how you ask. This is how you ask questions. It just takes us a little bit, to get through them. Dever is asking, how are you doing? We're okay. Kind of hungry.
I mean, I just ate a sausage, egg, and cheese sandwich with it was on a croissant.
Did you have any spam with it?
Did I have any spam? No, I had some Coca-Cola though.
You should have like a sausage, egg roll, spam, egg roll, cheese, spam.
I have a feeling that you like spam.
No, I like Monty Python.
Okay. Yeah, man.
Emergency Temporal Shift is asking, Rasta said collections might be on the menu after IK. Anything to say about that? I mean, that's actually like what we talk about on this stream when we announced the strike bows. So right now the main priority is, strike bows, our new in-house AK system to make, AK kind of feel better, especially if you're in full body. With like the tentative next goals being Protoflex collections and then UI, like doing a lot of like UI push, improving a lot of UI, adding UI pieces like the workshop and so on. So, not 100% confirmed, but tentatively like we would like to do that after IK. So things might change, but hopefully they don't, I guess. Or maybe hopefully they will. Like say like the render is looking more likely. Maybe like we'll do a little push on that. So we'll see. Oh, emergency temporal shift. Are you talking about them? I don't actually know. What about the collections? I guess that's with the collection questions.
Are we talking about them, Froox? Are we talking about them?
Are we talking about them? We talked about them. We can talk about them. Talk about stuff. Next question is from Dusty Sprinkles. As a follow-up to Suck's Discord questions about migration systems post-molecule, do you think you'd upgrade migration to happen on the cloud and just automatically create versioned assets that user can select from? I'm asking because it feels like a lot of existing migration mechanisms weigh down the engine with old code that creates somewhat unnecessary dependencies and edge cases in modern systems. No, not really. Like, so the main reason, there's actually a video we have on it, like why we do the migration the way we do it. The short of it is like, we don't want to like run upgrades on the cloud because then if there's a mistake in the upgrade, we just corrupted your item forever. So by doing it on load, unless you delete or overwrite the old item, we can make fixes to it. And it's generally kind of like, better approach. For it like weighing out the engine with the old code, like that's not really much of an issue. Most of the migrations, they're like relatively kind of self-contained, so they don't really create any complex dependencies. The ones that would, we actually approached in a way where they work like, directly from the data. So for example, if you migrate stuff from other platform, there's no actual libraries, for the platform. It just kind of recognizes a bunch of like, strings and names of things and converts from that. So even that has like no dependencies, to the old systems. So generally that's not like really much of a problem. I mean, theoretically maybe it could be a problem, but like the way the system's designed, like it's not a problem in practice. So it's not, something we really need to be solving right now.
And even when we do have to upgrade something multiple times, it seems like, when you upgrade something, you only have to really. It really only tends to happen a handful of times. Like I can't think of any egregious.
Oh, your audio just cut out. Linux issues. Sarah's gonna kill me in a second.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now again.
Okay, that's not Resonite's audio breaking. That's actually my audio chain breaking. For some reason, all my VSTs like to crash. I'm not sure why.
Linux audio issues.
I'm gonna fucking strangle you on stream live. Okay?
I say that wanting to switch to Linux.
Anyways, what I was saying was, it seems like that, like, when we have to, like, do, like, an upgrade, it doesn't really end up being that there's, like, a bazillion upgrades in the chain. There's only, like, a handful, and then all the upgrades that we tend to need to do are kind of done already.
And it also only runs, like, when you actually spawn an old item. If you say, for example, spawn your avatar, it runs the upgrades, and if you then, like, modify your avatar, do things to it, and you save it again, those upgrades are then baked in, and it doesn't need to run them anymore. So, like, that code doesn't really weigh the code. Like, it doesn't weigh the engine down because, like, a lot of the cases, like, it will not really run. It'll only run once when you, like, spawn the item and you save it again. But even then, like, it happens during load. It's not that big of a problem. So, generally, we want to, like, be solving problems that are not practical problems. Oh no. Wishfor's asking, will you get to this question before my plane takes off and lose internet? I don't know. I don't know if you're still in. If I haven't gotten to the question in time, there's a cutie in the sky.
They'll be waiting in the sky.
He's gonna be screaming in the sky now, and
he's screaming in the sky.
Screaming in the sky. Next question's from Papaltine. Papaltine's asking, incrementalist follow-up. For example, I have list of numbers and I map over to produce procedural texture using number seed. If I add X to the end of the list, incremental list would propagate the creation of a new procedural texture for the new one, and the other ones are reused since the rest of the list is unchanged, and incremental collections would recreate all the textures because its dirty propagation would only be scoped to the entire list. I feel I'm more confused than even than before.
Yeah. Can you use simpler terms?
Yeah, like I straight up don't know what you're asking. Like this doesn't connect to any of my concepts on collections, like how they would work. Yeah, like I'm sorry, I don't know. I mean, if you modify, if there's like a lot of like kind of assumptions there too, because it's like if you produce a procedural texture and like the changes happen, like how we're producing procedural textures, that's something you're generating, because like we don't expose that right now, like
Need a simpler example. My brain hurts.
yeah, like I don't know, like there's a lot of assumptions and it just doesn't connect to any of these stuff that like we'll be like doing, because like it's like how we're producing procedural textures. We want to produce a system for that, but like once we have a system for like generating procedural textures, you'll be able to kind of code like whatever algorithms you want, so you can kind of do stuff you want. So it just depends how you code it. So it should be flexible enough, but also like doesn't have anything to do specifically with collections. So it's, I don't know, it's very confusing. Like I would say, like if you're like say like once we have a system where you can specify a function that generates a procedural texture and you're using collection as an input, it's on essentially on your end to like implement whatever mechanism you want. So if you can implement a mechanism that can take the previous data and like only regenerate some things, then you could just implement that, but it's up to you. It's not like aspect of the collections themselves. Diverse is asking, how did you come up with idea of spatial variables?
Actually, can I interject and say what are spatial variables for those who don't know?
Yes.
I'm asking you, what are spatial variables for those who don't know?
Yeah, no, I said, yeah, like, go ahead.
Oh. What do you mean, go ahead? Oh, are you asking me?
Oh, wait, I thought you wanted to explain them. Or did you want me to explain them?
I mean, I guess I can explain them.
I thought that's what. Sorry, I thought that's what we were asking.
Sorry. So for people who don't know, spatial variables are basically like you can define, like at their simplest, you can define an area in the world where like a number or a string or whatever you want references can be queried once you enter that space and sample it with the same tag.
You'll be like, okay, there's a value here, and there's a value here, and maybe there's a value here, and there's like, here there's 7. And here's 8. Not 6. And here's, I don't know, 3. And then like like you can say like there's values, and like then for example here you will sample a value and like this will give you 7, and if you sample here it's gonna give you 8, if you sample here it's gonna give you 0, and if you sample in between here, so like it's perfectly halfway, it's gonna give you 7.5. Like it can like blend between them too. And this can be like colors, they can be matrices, vectors, it can be strings, like it can be references, and it's like a way to just very simply define values in the space and then be able to access it by just saying like what is the value at this point. And it's very powerful like mechanism. But yeah, how to come up with the idea is like I don't actually remember the specific thing. It was just a thing that just made sense because like we had like dynamic variables already, and it was like it's just a very general system that's very useful for lots of use cases. And it's just like a lot of times when people build systems on Resonite, they would want to make systems where like you need to know if there's something at a certain point in space, and this was like a system that would make that so much easier to do. Like I've seen, for example, spatial variables used to make like interactive items where say you have a torch and you have a fire, and like you want to like so you can define around the fire there's like spatial variable hot or fire or something, and like the torch is sampling at this like the head, and if it sees or like hot like is now high value, it lights up. Or if you have like, and it itself can also then like, have a spatial variable. So if you put a torch near another torch, it's gonna detect that and it's gonna also lit up. So like it kind of propagates, and it makes it very, very simple to implement those kinds of interactions. So it was a system that like just made a lot of sense. It was relatively easy to implement because we use like the spatial like acceleration queries from Beppu physics that makes it like very efficient. So it was just there was a system that made sense and it was very powerful, and I like making those kinds of systems. And it solves like a very common problem or set of problems like that creators on the platforms need to solve.
Yeah, I just figured we'd give that some preliminary explanation because I realized that there are a lot of concepts in Resonite that like people won't understand because they're so within like our culture.
Yeah. We do have a video on spatial variables too that's like dedicated to them with like lots of diagrams and things. So like if you want to know more about them, I recommend checking it out on our YouTube channel. Just like search like a spatial variable, you should be able to find it. And it kind of goes a little more into detail, even like some examples how they work. They're very, 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 very cool. They're very cool, like, very cool, like, system that would just solve and make a lot of problems, like, easier to handle. It's just like one of those things where I wanted to do them for a really long while, and it really took me, like, I think years before I actually got to implement it, because there was just so much stuff in between, and, like, one day I was like, okay, I want to do them now, I'm gonna do them. And I have a bunch of, like, things like that, too. So we got so many subscriptions from BD_. Thank you for all the gifts again. These were all the questions before them. The emergency temporal shifts is like 50. There's so many. Oh no. Do you want this one? Oh my god. Thank you, BD_. Oh my god, we need to move this here again. Oh my god. There's so many. There's so many. Yeah. Even more. Thank you. Let's see. Devirus is asking. Actually, well, do you wanna do on this one? So there's no audio from you again.
Sorry, I was muted. I was just muted that time. So.
No, hold
on. Question from my mom. How do you feel about your
question for your mom?
Yeah, question for my mom. How do you feel about your son being a Black Fennec building the Matrix for a living? Well, I'm not a Fennec, I'm a Pine Marten, first of all. And also I'm brown. Get it right. No, I don't know, Mom. How do you feel that I'm building the Matrix for a living? I don't think you can actually type in chat, but like, I suppose I'll get a DM from you if you're watching.
We'll see.
I guess we'll have to see on that one. I'll let you guys know if she answers.
We'll see. Next question. I'm gonna put it in the corner. Turtle Dude 01 is asking, are there eventual plans to make tutorials for all the crazy fun things? The tools like DevTool, FluxTool, easier to find. I'm new to Resonite a couple of days ago, and I'm relying entirely meeting people to learn things currently. So there's a few things. If you haven't checked it out, check out the help tab on your dash. It's like right next to the exit button. So like on the left of it, there's like the help tab, and it's a good like kind of starting point for a lot of things. I also do recommend checking out the wiki. There actually is a link to the wiki as well in the help tab, so you can like find information there about how to use like different things. There's even like for some of them you'll have like videos and other stuff, so that's a really good kind of resource to go with. For all the things, I don't know like if I'll have like tutorials for every single thing because there's just so much in Resonite, but like all the core things like the DevTool, FluxTool, there are like a bunch of tutorials. There's some in-game as well that should have like like teach you like how to do like some programming and so on. So definitely check out the help tab, check out the wiki. Those are kind of like good resources. There's a bunch of tutorials already. Dergakuven's asking, will there be avatar scaling?
I don't know, Froox, will there be?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Will there be avatar scaling? I don't know. I'm tiny.
It's kind of, I don't know. It seems like a really weird feature to add to your engine. It seems very specific.
Yeah, that's such a hold on, it's.
Well,
I don't know. That's such a weird feature.
yeah, it's very strange.
Resonite had avatar scaling since launch. It's like one of our like defining features, I would say. Hi.
That's I'm not sure if it's already there. Yeah, that's
I hope this answers your question. Actually, there's like another. Hold on, there's another aspect to it. There's also things. Where it's let's see. Let me see if I can find it. So yes, there's you can just toggle scaling, in your context menu, and you can just freely scale yourself. Some worlds will might limit the range, but generally you can pretty much scale like in a way you want. There's also things you can do if I can find it. I don't remember where I saved it. It's been a while since I used this. Give me a second. Okay, not here. So maybe under gadgets? Where did I save it? No, maybe here. Hold on, let me see. I know I have it somewhere. We made a thing a while back. But I don't remember where I saved it. Where could I have saved it? Oh, there it is. I found it. Okay, I hope this is the right one. It's not the bad one. Sir, do you mind being used for science?
You may use me for science this time.
Oh.
For being scienced.
And it's tiny. We can also do stuff like this. There's also another evil one, but you probably want to respawn after. Actually, let me bring it back. I'm just gonna. There's also a lot of systems that let you kind of interact between avatars that a lot of fun to play with. There's also some very cursed ones. Do you mind me making you cursed?
Sure, you can make me cursed too.
I'll make you cursed. You might need to respawn after this. If I can find a cursed one, I think this is the cursed one.
Right.
Oh wait, I think. Oh, are you driving your bones?
No, I think it's because I have oh dear.
Oh no, this is. What do you have?
I think it's because I don't have like a complete set of colliders because I halfway finished my colliders and then I didn't finish doing them.
I think I might need to respond. So this science experiment has kind of gone horribly wrong. Actually, do you have a different avatar? Oh. We killed Sire live on stream. I'm sorry, Sire's mom. Oh, here's a fresh one. Do you have an avatar that would work with this?
Maybe.
Or maybe actually, hold on. Can I use it on my? It's kind of be hard to use it on myself. Let me try using it on myself.
I could use it on you.
Oh, okay. There we go. That worked. Okay, that worked. Oh no.
You only okay.
No, I'm making myself. Oh no, I can't use this now. Wait, I can. Okay, hold on. Let me fix. There we go. Oh, it's tiny. Oh no, I'm breaking myself. Okay, okay, that's enough science. So, um, I hope that answers your question. There's lots of possibilities. Resonite has like a lot of really complex like avatar interactions that you can't really get like anywhere else, including scaling. And there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with scaling. Some people also, I don't have the system myself, unfortunately, but some people they have a collider system on their avatar, so like they can become like really big, and then they can like scoop people up on their hands, or you can have like people like walk like you can have like somebody stand on your shoulder, and just like when they walk around and move around, like you stay on their shoulder or on their head, or if they're like laying down in full body, they can be like walking on their chest. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with this stuff in Resonite. Like this is like we've only shown you like scratch the surface.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do. What was I gonna say? I was just gonna quickly do that because I like doing this.
Doing what?
Taking my nameplate off.
Oh, I have an nameplates off, so like the
Oh.
yeah.
Wow, thanks for rooting my bit, Froox.
Sorry, I can turn them on. Hold on. They're off on the camera too, I think. Hide badges, hide lasers, yeah. There we go. Okay, it's on. I usually have them off, just kind of looks better.
In Resonite, you can even do this. Wow, my name tag. Right there.
It's mine now.
Yeah, Froox can steal it.
Can I give it back too?
Yeah, you just need to put it on the right way.
There we go. Yeah, there's like, and also, this is just scratching the surface. There's so much stuff we can do. I'm gonna hide them again. Voop.
Okay.
Oops. Sorry. Actually, speaking of like avatar interactions, another one like we can like be like you see this cool like color Sarah has. Yoink. Yoink. These are mine now.
Yeah, if you shake it, it will jingle.
Boink. 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 There's lots. Like we're literally just scratching the surface. There's a lot of avatar interactions. But yeah, we should move to the more questions. I'm gonna put thing in the corner. Appleton's asking, in the recent issue you said that Froox does not currently support multithreading. From my understanding, async impulses can run concurrently, interleaved execution of nodes across different impulse chains. Can you explain why this assumption is incorrect and what the actual execution looks like? So, there's a few things that are wrong with that one. So they do allow, async allows, like, by default, it's interleaved execution. Interleaved execution is not multi-threading. Those are like, two separate concepts. And actually, let me grab a pen. I'm gonna draw a simple diagram to like make it easier to understand. Brushes, where's the brush? Geometry line brushes. There we go. So, say like you have two tasks, A and B. And you're executing your code. And this is, time, like, and you're actually, let me do like a timeline like this. So say, like, I have to draw backwards, okay. So this is time, and like you're running tasks, and you have task A, B, and C. For interleaved execution, what happens is, you do a little bit of A, then you do a little bit of, hold on, let me move this out of the way. Then you do a little bit of B, then maybe a little bit of A again. You do a little bit of C, you do a little bit of B, you do a little bit of A, you do a little bit of B again, maybe, like it's, so this is interleaved. You're literally just like, you're only doing one at a time, but you're kind of like, moving back and forth between them. So like, they're still kind of like, like sort of concurrent, but like they're not actually like running at the same time. This is not what multi-threading means. And async allows you to do that because it essentially allows you to kind of pause the execution of a in the middle of it, and then run another thing, and then pause that one and run another thing, maybe the A again, maybe something else. What multi-threading is, so I'm gonna create a separation line. If you have multi-threading, what actually happens, you start task A, so this is A, and also like maybe you start task B, maybe it kind of runs like here, like this, and then maybe like also like you have like task C, maybe got started, maybe it runs a bit longer, and then you got C. Oh, that is very bad C. Then you got C. And this is multi-threading. Like they are actually, at one point in time, all of them are actually running at the same time on potential on multiple cores. They might end up like being interleaved, like if like there's not enough threads to handle them, but they can potentially run completely in parallel. So this is like the kind of key difference. Concurrency, like async concurrency, is not the same as multi-threading. Like this is multi-threading. This is concurrency, or interweaved execution. And it's kind of reminiscent, like what execution looks like. So I hope like this kind of helps understand the difference.
I also feel like concurrency is like, maybe it's just my understanding of the term, but I feel like concurrency like references multiple things happening at the same time rather than interleaved.
It kind of multiple like meanings. It's more like like the main difference is like if you run a task A, for example, if you don't have any concurrency at all, like everything else, task B and C, they have to wait for A to completely finish before they can execute. So even if like A is, for example, waiting on something, it makes everything after it wait as well. I kind of want to bring the brush again. Let me draw this. So like if you have no concurrency at all, then like you have like A is running, and then like say like here A is waiting on something, you're essentially not doing anything. This is just. It's just doing nothing. It's just waiting. Maybe there's like a web request, and then it returns and continues, and it means everything after like it has to wait. So B has to wait until this completes everything it's done. With concurrency, with async, what happens? So for example, A fires off some kind of request, and it then needs to wait. While A waits, so say like if you had like async, this would be A, and then it's waiting on something. So it's gonna be like, okay, this is waiting. I can pause this, and I can run another thing, so I'm gonna run a bunch of B. So it runs a bunch of B while A is waiting. At this point, A has returned, so A is ready to run. Here A is already ready to run, but B is still running. So it's gonna wait until B hits something where it needs to wait, and once B is waiting, it can be, okay, I'm gonna run the rest of A. And once the rest of A finishes, and like say B is ready to run here. So B is ready to run, A is running, so like B is like still just waiting, but once A finishes, it's like, okay, B is ready, so I'm gonna run the rest of B. So it kind of like, gets rid of like these sort of dead spots where you're just doing nothing and waiting, and that kind of lets you like do more kind of concurrency. And it's a concept that also can combine with multi-threading, because you can have multiple threads that are all like, doing this, and they're like taking the tasks, but it's not necessary. Like you can have concurrency with single thread. It just means you're interweaving the tasks, which means they don't need, like, when one task is waiting, other tasks can run. And if you do combine it with multi-threading, then you can have multiple threads that are all processing tasks. And if like say if you have like multi-threading in this scenario, and you have like another, say like this is thread 0, and like you have thread 1. And say like the thread 1's like been doing something here, like something else. A is ready to run. It's just gonna schedule A to continue on this thread. So this thread will pick it up, it continues, and this thread will then pick up C or something else. So there are concepts that do combine with each other, but they don't have to. Concurrency and async does not mean necessary multi-threading. they're concepts that are sort of, orthogonal to each other. Like they complement each other, but they're not the same. Okay, I'm gonna leave the brush in case we need it for other things. Next question is from BD underscore. For Resonite Workshop, are you thinking about future monetization opportunities there? Yes. So the way we want to actually do, eventual like show where you can sell the items, and like maybe like earn an income from making, virtual content. The workshop, it's like, workshop is like a place to find things. So like you can submit things, you can make them discoverable. The initial version of workshop, like all the items are free, unless like, you have like some other like thing, but like all the items are like generally gonna be like, free. You can just kind of like, spawn them. It's like a library of stuff. What we're gonna do at some point, we're gonna add a licensing system where you can say this item, this set of assets, this requires a license that can be, either from external source, like a key, or like maybe a file that you prove that you own it, or maybe, buy it, through Resonite. In which case, it will also help support the platform. Once we have that system, that's actually going to combine with the workshop, where some of the items in the workshop can be paid items. They require a license in order to, like, be able to spawn them and use them. So this is sort of like a way to work towards it, but generally, like the way we like to approach things is like we like to do it like, piecewise, build kind of systems that complement each other. And the workshop, even like without, monetization, I feel is like going to be hugely important for the platform. And then like, once, so like we can implement that version of it and then add more systems that will allow monetization and for creators, like, to like sell their items. I do recommend actually watching. We have a video on YouTube channel that specifically covers workshop and all of its like possibilities. We went like into quite a bit more detail on it, so if you're like interested more, I recommend watching it. But yeah, in short, workshop will kind of come first. At some point, we're gonna do licensing system, which is gonna be like this item like requires a paid license, and it's gonna provide monetization. Emergence in the Pro is asking, you guys got a test kit for the Steam frame? No, unfortunately not. It's gonna... yeah. At this point, I don't know if like we'll support it at launch, unfortunately. Like, it might be kind of janky, so... If you like it to help, like, you could like, mention like to Valve like that, like say on social media that like support for Steam Frame is important for Resonite, that you want to play with it, but I don't know if it'll help or not. But at this point, like I don't know. Like we haven't like the biggest problem is like we haven't heard anything back from them, so like we don't know if it's just like they don't have enough units, or maybe they don't find our use case important enough, or maybe they haven't even looked at our application. Like we just straight up don't know.
Someone from Valve is watching. Praying emoji.
I can make cool things. Most supplies asking. Is there a way to change the default placement and scale of editor windows when they spawn in? Ideally, I want them to be the same visual size, but 3 meters away from it to avoid versions accommodation conflict by matching my headset's focal distance. Not natively. People make their own like kind of dev tooltips with like custom inspectors, which you might be able to do something with that. I would probably recommend like making like a GitHub issue, because we do have like a system where it's like whenever something spawns, it sort of like picks a distance to place it at. And we couldn't like make that configurable, so you can like kind of adjust it in settings. So I think like that might be like easy enough to implement. I can't promise that, like I haven't like I'd have to like look at the code, but just from what I remember, it should be easy to implement. So make a GitHub issue, like we can like look at it, like hopefully. No promises, but it would be good to one like we can come maybe sneak it in if the winds of development will be favorful. Deveros is asking, when did you decide to be yellow dog? Did you consider any other color animal? So I'm not actually a dog. That's sort of like a community moniker for me. It actually kind of started from like a meme. Like I'm more of a fox. I'm sort of like a sci-fi space fox sort of thing. But like the yellow dogman thing that actually happened like on a stream like a while back. We were like streaming. I was trying to explain something, but like next like he's this like green, or he was like green birching at the time. He would he would like interrupt me, and then like someone in the chat posted like, would the green bird person let the yellow dog man speak? And like it kind of just rolled from there, and just kind of how people like kind of call me. So like, and we kind of like named the company after that as well to like a sort of honor the like community stuff. But technically I'm more of a fox thing. For the color, I I don't even remember. I've really liked yellow for a really long time. I don't even remember when. Like I remember like when I was a really small kid, I actually really liked pink. I had like a lot of like pink stuff. I had like pink plushies and stuff, and I still like it. It's kind of cool color, but I end up like liking yellow a lot more. And it's just kind of my favorite color. So, but it's been so long, I don't remember when that even happened. Autumn Blessings, Autumn Blessings is asking, will we ever get BIOS or status in the contacts friends menu in Resonite? So it's funny thing. When you said BIOS, my brain thinking like BIOS, like the computer. I was like, huh? No,
technically, technically we do have it in the API already. We have a bio for the user.
But yes, that will be part of the UI work. It's one of the reasons we want to work on the UI is like make a lot of those things nicer, because the contacts UI needs to be completely reworked, like inventory, session stuff, like, and there's gonna be like we want to do BIOS, we're gonna do like a lot of kind of cool things. So yes, it's gonna be part of the UI work.
We already have it. It's JSON.
It's like just a JSON. Oh my god. Brown.
Just a raw JSON. I'm brown. I didn't know if you know that.
What? This is the brown. Tom's asking, is the new full body setup part of the IK update? So that's part of the IK itself, but I'll probably work on the full body setup like once the IK is kind of stabilized. So sort of. The idea is like the better IK should just behave much better, but I do want to like do a pass on the calibration as well. But the IK, making the IK work properly first is the main goal right now. So checking time, we have like 40 minutes left, 40ish. Blade Forgery is asking, saw an email, I got gifted a sub. Yes, BD_ gifted so many subs, thank you. I know you're here, you're so many people. Oh, jeez. Does the sprinkles follow up on my socks question? Oh, it's jumping. Protoflag has at least a few features that exist. Seemingly exist purely because of migration, and my point was that if we had molecule, the non-migrating item would still exist as previous version, so it wouldn't matter if it broke. I don't know which features they actually mean. Like, you need to be a little bit more specific, but like, all I can tell you is like, generally, like the way we wrote the migration system, it's not really lying an issue. Like, we're not gonna like. There's like, I feel there's like two types of issues, and there's like sort of issues which like seem kind of more philosophical, or like they seem more like hypothetical issues, but we don't want to spend like a bunch of time working on hypothetical issues that are not actually issues in practice. So yeah, like it's not really something that comes up often. Like usually, like when something becomes an issue, it's like we have to deal with it a lot. We have to like for example, we're making a change to code, and now we have to be like, oh, like there's this old system that's now exploding because we made certain changes. And when that keeps happening, and there's things where that keeps happening, we're like, okay, this needs to be reworked. We need to change the approach because this is becoming a problem. This is not one of them. Like it's not really something that would keep coming up, as a problem. So it's also like with the molecule. Molecule doesn't really solve it because like if it breaks, you still need to have the system in there. And actually it would be a lot more maintenance to like maintain like, two separate versions of like Resonite, or Froox engine, where like one of them can do the upgrades and the other one can't. It's just easier to like leave it in. Otherwise, like we're doing a lot of work, like separating the two, maintaining the two, and that's like there's no point in that because like if the goal is to save the amount of work, then we just add a lot more work. Shadow X is asking, could the collections update include tuple vector types that allow us to store send multiple values at once? This could come super handy for dynamic impulse-based functions because callback, float, and tag could be sent along with multiple inputs. Maybe, like it kind of depends. What do you mean, like it kind of depends. I think that's like a little bit separate from collections, a little bit. We could technically expose tuples without collections because those are kind of like more static. Like because collections, the main attribute of them is like they can grow and shrink. Tuples are more like types where you just kind of package, like you say, like I have 3 values and it's always 3 values. For vector, I don't know like which vector type like you mean because that can mean multiple things in different contexts. Like sometimes vectors, like in C++, they're like what in C# would be lists. So I don't know if you mean that, or vectors as generally like like float 3, for example, vector, which we already have. So that depends a little bit, but tuples, I feel they kind of a little bit like separate from collections. But like in general, like once you have collections, like you can just package a bunch of like values into like a dictionary or something, send it over. This kind of give you a lot of flexibility too.
I want tuples.
Maybe tuples. We'll be like packing tuples. Computers using asking. Currently, the Unity render can only build if UMP is disabled. I remember hearing something about how you can build with UMP if you provide it yourself. Do you have any advice on how to provide UMP to the Unity project? So this is a little bit of a stupid question. As I've said before, I have little to no actual experience with Unity. I mean, you pretty much just have to place it in the UMP folder. If you look at the GitHub repository and you go into the assets, there's literally a folder. It should be named UMP or something with UMP, and it's like a submodule, which is private because we cannot redistribute it. But essentially, you would clone it, and then you would like wherever the UMP goes, you would place it there, and it should generally work. Well, actually, no, that's. It wouldn't work because we have like our versions modified heavily. Yeah, this is. I don't think you can actually do this, unfortunately, because like our version's modified, and if you like get like, if you manage to buy it, when it was still available, like that probably wouldn't work. So yeah, that's not gonna work. I'm sorry. It's kind of a tricky situation because the software is essentially abandonware, but like we don't want to risk redistributing it because it's still copyrighted.
Well, this isn't related to this question.
I
wanted to interject, but I wanted to wait till you're done with this question.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to interject because there was a question earlier. I'll paraphrase. How for my mom actually. How do you feel like that your son is working on the Matrix? And I relayed that to her, and she responded. She said, "I'm actually very proud. I think you're very smart and amazing. Proud to be your mom." As for the Matrix, then you'll see it's not only the spoon that bends; it is yourself.
Oh. Well, you can also be the spoon here.
You can also be the spoon here, I guess, if you want.
Oh my god. You know how Medra has like the fork and spoon for hands? With a new thing we can make the spoon bendy.
Oh my god, we can bend spoons in Resonite, guys. Holy crap.
I will... Now I have urge to like ask Medra like if I can have his avatar to like add things to it. But yeah, that's very sweet of your mom.
Also, she says love you, so love you too, Mom.
Oh. Ooh. And we get another from Papaltin. Papaltin's asking incremental list part, part 3, source list, 1, 2, 3, drive list, my list, each item, my list, N, L, N plus, so my list is driven to 2, 3, 4, set L 10, so my list becomes 2, L, and 10, incremental only updates my list 1 and releases the rest, non-incremental recomputes all 3 elements. I think you have to like recompute the elements, like, unless like, we have like, you know, some stuff like lambdas where you say like, okay, you enumerate it, and then you like, I don't know how that would work, like, because like, you would still like, if you iterate over the list, like, it would still have to like, compute the values. Like, I don't know if this like really maps to concepts like in C#, like...
So there's a lot of like, maybe it's just my brain, but that's a lot of numbers and like letters, and it's still a little hard for me to understand.
The problem is like, this is just like, my main problem is like, this is just not connecting to any of the concepts, you know, with working with the collections in like, you know, in C# and like Resonite, so like, I don't know how to like connect these concepts to like what we would actually do. It's like, you know, it's like what you're describing is like here, and like what C# collections are here, and I'm like, I don't know how to like overlap it. Like, if you have like examples, say like in C# code, like, you know, what would you use for this that could help? But yeah, I don't know, I'm sorry. Computer is asking, with my questions about can we change the missing texture? Texture could be possible to let users specify what it would look like in game. Asking because it would be neat if we could change the checkerboard to funny source magenta one without having to always use forked version of the render. Possible, yes. We probably wouldn't do it because like the whole point of the texture is like this is what you see when all else fails. Adding like a configuration options, it adds, you know, problem to like what if that failed. So it kind of just creates this weird situation, like, where, like, this is supposed to be, like, the fallback, like, which is, like, as simple as possible, where it's just, you know, there's no complexity to it, there's no configuration, it's just like, okay, everything exploded, show that. If you're adding more things for it to explode, you're complicating a system that shouldn't be complicated, and that's a lot of engineering effort and potential breakage for funny. So, like, we would not prioritize that. It's also, like, because, like, you know, there's complexity because we, like, that needs to, like, work before even stuff like settings loads. So, like, you're kind of creating dependencies for what's meant to be a really simple system on a really complex system. Maybe, like, if it was kind of updated, like, you know, like, it started as a without a setting, and maybe, like, it got a bit, like, the shader parameters. But again, like, it's a bunch of engineering for a funny, and, like, we probably would not want to, like, add that complexity. Hekoyas is asking, do you use Protoflex print system optionally? If it's not too risky, question which? I really don't myself. I don't actually do that much Protoflex, unfortunately, because I don't have that much time to build in game, but...
Have you seen this guy's Protoflex? It's a mess. It's a big old spaghetti mess. Froox has, like, the worst Protoflex organization I've ever seen. I'm sorry.
Look, I'm just waiting for a start official one, so, you know, it's how it all...
Yeah, Froox is like, yeah, I'll just implement, like, an auto-organization. I don't want to organize anything. I'll just have my nodes organize themselves. I'm just like, okay, Froox, yeah, you know what? Whatever. um, I don't use a print system myself personally. I think print systems are a little too limiting for the way that I work. Um, I like to at most put it on a plane. I don't like it having like grid snapping or any of those really fancy features. I just like to do my protoflex like the normal way. Or sometimes I'll call myself protoflex Amish because I do things like at the base way they were like built.
And it's kind of like what I do too, is because like I like when there's like certain features missing, I like to like there be certain like pressure to be like, okay, like this is something like we need to like add officially. So it's kind of part of like how I use like systems, but also like I don't do protoflex often enough for it to like matter that much. Usually like when I do something, it's just like quick dirty thing and like just kind of have funny, and that's about it. Tomtom's asking, who would ever want avatar scaling? Says the little dog thing. Drago Kuven's asking, oh, oh,
Oh, indeed.
oh, indeed. Modify arc. How come dynamic bone colliders don't scale with the user? They should. If they don't, like, it sounds like it should make a get up issue probably. Modify arc is asking, is there a legitimate reason why I can't set my username as a single emoji on Resonite? There's a bunch of accounts that are literally a single emoji, so
Yeah, I
they
literally
should.
have an account that's like just all periods, or like, someone
Oh.
has an account that's just A.
Well, there's a lot of like Unicode like emojis, like there's like bird account, there's like literally the cheese emoji, uh, there's already a bunch,
Yeah.
so
In fact, someone actually has used a like really like an invisible character as their identity, and like that was also a valid username.
yeah. That one's actually weird because like they found a character. So like we do like validation. Like one of the things we check is like, is this just white space? And we use the Unicode function, is this character white space? If all of them are white spaces, we will reject it. But in Unicode, there's a character which is essentially a white space, but Unicode definition says it's not white space. And that's like, why that with passed through the system. It's evil.
We did protect that character as their identity though in the end. We didn't want to like change their name or anything.
Yeah, we left it. It's kind of funny, but we want people to have their fun with things too. BDN was asking, one of the issues with IK is issues where the distance between bones doesn't match the physical difference between tracking points. Heads per neck doesn't match reality. How are you thinking about resolving this mismatch in the new IK? So there's like one thing that like I kind of thinking about adding, which is bone retargeting or like skeletal or rig retargeting, where what essentially what happens is like we take the rig, we remap the lengths to be more like human length, and solve it, and then remap it back. And it's like one way you can kind of like handle those kinds of things. So for example, if you're like if your hips are like much lower on the avatar, it has like say very short stubby legs, we essentially lengthen the legs, solve it, and then like shrink it back in. And that might be like a good way to kind of tackle those avatars. It's gonna make it so like your the hips are not gonna match your physical hips, but like if you have like an avatar that's like very non-human proportioned, like you kind of need to do that, otherwise like you're trying to stretch the legs and like and push the hips, and that's not gonna look good. We got a question from Tanoshiro Kiki. They're asking, question if I may. Traders not so long ago, mind-blowing how interactive it is, and how frictionless you can juggle files from a piece of the game. Any chance glue tool will have some loving touch anytime soon? I'm new to Resonite, maybe something wrong, but every time I add glue to my avatar, except stickers, end up being unsavable. When you press save avatar, it's just blank square. Will you be able to change colors on avatar itself instead of making textures in third-party program? Import. Oh, it kind of got cut off. So there's a few things. One thing I would probably say the glue tool is not the best way to put things on your avatar. I would definitely want to like do a pass on it, kind of make it like a little less evil. It would be good to have like GitHub issues for some of the problems. Like be like, okay, I tried like doing this is what happened, and then we can be like, okay, we can fix those issues. For changing the colors on the avatar itself instead of making textures, you can already do that in game. There's a lot of options. Like you can let me actually grab a material tool. So if I grab like a material tool, it might be better to like do inspector if you have like multiple materials, which I might have. Actually, I have multiple materials. I'm gonna use the inspector for this. So I'm gonna open myself up with inspector. So there's like a number of things you can do. If I find my body, actually no, I have a body material here. So I found my like body material. There's multiple things I can do. So one of the ways to just change color. This is probably not the best one, but for some avatars it can work. Is literally just change the color on this, so I can make myself red, and now I'm red. Oh no! Or make myself. Oh, that is interesting looking. What if I do green? Oh, I'm green.
They're green for an amazing reason.
I'm green for an amazing reason. Yeah. So. You can change color this way, but also we actually have a bunch of texture processing options. So I can actually take my texture, so there's my avatar texture, and I can open it up. And what I can do here, there's a lot of options. If I scroll down, there's a lot of options for like working with colors and hue, saturation, and so on. So for example, I can use the hue, and I'm gonna put like say 25 in there. And I'm gonna shift to hue. It's gonna take a little bit of process.
Might take a hot minute to process if you're
take a little
texture.
bit. This is gonna process. There we go. And now it's gonna reload, and now I'm hue shifted to a different color. So we can like do stuff like that, and sometimes that's like good enough to like make changes. There's a lot of options, so you can kind of like play with it. Like you can make a lot of kind of cool ways like this one. I just did undo, so I'm back into my normal yellow self. And also, there's like systems, there's tools you can find in game where you can actually load a texture in, and you can draw on it with brushes. So you can actually draw stuff, on your avatar. And it's another way to kind of like do a lot of texture processing in game. So there's a lot of options. Some of them are kind of require like some of them require more kind of complex tools. But there's a lot you can do in game. And I think that can answer everything. Like, it looks like the question got cut off, unfortunately, but hopefully we answered enough. Dundresis is asking, spatial variables to make spoon benders when? We make a spatial variable that's a reality, and like when you put a spoon in it, it bends. Resonite itself is asking, have you tried Ivy snapping flux tool? Yes.
Yes, I actually helped them. I actually helped Ivy with some of the math for it.
Next question's from Great Dragon Gamer. Why do tween components use speed value instead of duration? I don't actually remember. It's kind of the same thing. Like speed is like inverted duration, essentially. Actually, no. There's like one reason is because like they can be non-linear sometimes. Actually, shouldn't there be duration? I forget.
I don't know. Do they mean because like we have the node and the component, and I'm not sure if maybe they're conflating.
Yeah.
The like component that gets attached by the node with the node, or if they're actually referencing the like the tween component itself.
It's probably because like they should be like computable from each other. It's probably because like it's more natural kind of representation for the data model for it. But like usually like you compute like we can compute one from the other.
Is there like actually?
Can you spawn the tween node? Actually, no. The node, the node has duration on it.
Yeah, the node has duration, but I think the I think that this bool here actually is proportional duration, which actually turns it into
yeah.
speed.
Okay. I think it depends like which like if the proportional duration. Actually, no. The proportional duration scales it depending on how big the difference between values is.
Yeah, so then it would effectively become speed, wouldn't it?
Uh,
Or
Not
is it the
quite.
other way
No.
around?
No. It makes it more. So say like you're changing from. So say like the duration is 1. That's gonna be like 1 second, and you're changing value from 0 to 1. That's gonna take 1 second. If you're changing from 0 to 10, it's gonna take 10 seconds. It essentially scales it by the distance between the values.
Yeah, isn't that just speed then?
Not really.
Because if you're going 1 per second, then that would be 1 unit per second.
I don't think it still makes a speed. Like it's kind of like it changes the duration, and from that we compute the speed. Or maybe it just like works out like to be speed, but
This is all
it's not
very
like intended to
confusing.
be. Well,
I'm
actually no, because
confusion.
like no, it is still inverse because like if you like even if you turn on proportional duration, if you increase duration, it's gonna be slower. If you increase
Oh,
speed,
yes.
it's gonna be faster. So yeah,
It's it's almost speed. It's the inverse of
it's the
speed.
duration is inverse of speed. Like literally the proportional one is just it scales it by how much the value is actually being changed.
Okay,
So you
I
don't have to
see.
compute it yourself. I'm gonna skip that. Modify arc is asking, will there be a debug material to see the weights of bones? I would like to add something like that. I don't actually know if you can do it through the material, at least not like with the current pipeline, because I don't think you can actually access that information in the shader. Like you have to access in the vertex shader, but like the weights they actually get used during the skinning process, but the skin data I don't think they contain the weights anymore. Because like it's not actually used like for the rendering. So it might be more complex than a material. We could add like a procedural mesh that like takes it and bakes it into like the color data, like the vertex color data.
Oh, that'd be kind of neat. Yeah, I was thinking like he'd use the vertex colors for that.
Yeah, but like it would need to be like processing for it. So I mean, it would be neat actually. Make a GitHub issue like that would be relatively trivial to write. So we've got like 13 minutes left, so it's possible we might not be able to get through all the questions now. Depending how many there are, we'll see like how many there are, but just keep in mind. Feel free to still ask them, but like might need to like save them for the next one. Oh, and that's still like the between thing. Oops, I grabbed the brush. I didn't mean to do that. Dandrisis is asking, given that Resonite is largely peer-to-peer and that users will often end up sharing potentially sensitive information, unsensitized logs, or personal photos, could there be some level of network-level encryption to protect privacy and security of users? One basic method I thought was to self-assign ephemeral TLS certificates, which are distributed through the 8000 API so that it can be securely retrieved. This way it becomes part of session information. So I'm a little bit confused by this because like you're asking about like unsanitized logs. I don't see how that fixes the logs the issue because like encryption like makes sure the users like the traffic's like encrypted, but like it doesn't change the information that's in the logs. It doesn't like sanitize those. We do want to like add encryption to like LNL because the protocol it doesn't fully have native support for it, but it can add like some mechanisms. Purple Prime has actually been looking into that. We also ideally wanted to switch to game networking sockets, which has like encryption built into the actual network communication. But unfortunately, this still has like some issues that make it then make it not usable for us. No, that's the main protocol, unfortunately. So we might need to end up like using the LNL1. Generally for encryption, like you don't want to roll your own encryption. That's generally very, very bad idea. So we probably wouldn't do custom stuff like that. We probably use like what LNL already offers, because they have like a module for it. So we like need to integrate that. Modify arc is asking. Both of you. I'm not gonna keep it. I'm gonna put a brush here because I keep grabbing it. Modify arc is asking both of you. What is your go-to lazy day meal? All of them. So most meals I make are like they're very lazy meals. I just kind of throw ingredients into a pot or a rice cooker and just let it boil for like a bit and then I eat it. So like I make potatoes, pasta, rice, and that's pretty much it.
I'm also very lazy, so I oftentimes eat like a Hot Pocket, or I'll eat some like a Jimmy Dean's. Like that's actually what I ate just when the stream started. Was I was eating a Jimmy Dean's like sausage, egg, and cheese croissant that you defrost for 90 seconds in the microwave, and then you like cook another 50 seconds on like high power to finish. Yeah, that's pretty much like I'm like lazy microwave. Froox is like lazy boil everything.
Yeah. Well, I actually have a thing. Usually on weekends, like my mom, she lives like elsewhere in the city, but like she makes food and like she sends it. So like I actually have a box from her like in the fridge. So like after the 3 months, I'm gonna like microwave that and eat it. So I guess that's lazy, but like that's one like when mom cooks.
Oh, my mom makes
Which one
really
happens on
Chinese
weekends
food.
usually? Say again?
My mom brought Chinese food.
Ooh, yay. I think I have some
Shout out to
potatoes and
moms.
stuff. Yay. BD underscore's asking. Oh my god, I keep pulling things by accident. BD underscore's asking. I remember you looking into Quick as a transport as well. How did the investigation turn out? I didn't actually have time to like fully look into it. The main thing for it is like, the problem is like we need support for like a punch through, and it should be possible to do it quick. We might like want to piggyback on for like LNL stuff, but I was thinking about adding, just the protocol itself, so people could just expose the IP and without a punch through support and just do some testing, see how well it performs, and if it performs well, we would implement like the punch through for it and maybe switch to the main protocol. So but it's mostly just like I haven't had time to like do that yet, so we'll see like whenever I get time. Tanoshiki is asking, what's Schnoppit? Oh, we actually didn't get Schnoppit this stream.
Yeah, we didn't get a Schnoppit. Schnoppit is basically just when something makes you want to disintegrate.
No, it makes you disintegrate. You spontaneously, like if you think about it, you spontaneously disintegrate. It comes from a Tom Scott video where he's talking about language and and he's like if words could like mean anything, then Schnoppit could mean, and there's like a meme one where it just disintegrates. And we've been kind of like using it as a thing, for stuff that like kind of like bugs us, stuff that like we're like don't like dealing with, or there's like kind of like some issues. So we kind of like use it as a sort of this like segment, for talking about those. It kind of started as a funny thing on the stream, and it became like a regular thing essentially, sort of almost like a gag. So this is showing the opposite way, I think. Yeah, there we go. It was facing me, so the camera didn't see it.
Need to make like an override for cameras.
Yeah. We got another question from Will the Lemon Wolf. Hey there, is 18+ stuff allowed on Resonite? So yes, asterisk. we do have a guidelines for this kind of stuff. So generally for any like 18 plus stuff, it needs to be like it cannot be in public sessions. It needs to be done in sessions that are restricted. So like for example, private session, it can be in contact session, assuming all your contacts are consenting, or like invite only sessions. So you need to make sure that everybody is consenting and everybody's aware like that's gonna it's gonna contain that kind of content. We have specifically guidelines on it that sort of describe when is it allowed and when is it not allowed. So I recommend checking those out. It should be on the wiki. I don't have the link at hand, unfortunately. I would recommend checking out the wiki. Search a little bit. Like there should be information about it. We should have a guidelines link to as well, but I don't have that at hand. But yeah, check out the Resonite guidelines. It's gonna provide you like enough information when it's okay, when it's not. That's pretty much gonna covers it. If you don't have like more questions about it, we also have our moderation team. They have their own office hours. It actually happens before the stream, so like you just missed that one. But there should be one next week, so you can ask them more detailed questions about it as well. I mostly kind of focus on development myself, so like moderation team kind of like manages like this part. But generally, yes, provided everyone's it's not in public and everybody's consenting. And check the guidelines for like the full kind of like rules on it. And another question. Let's see, what time is it? We've got 4 minutes left. We've got time punks from BD underscore. Why do I have a type punks? I have one. So I've been like dealing with like an issue with like the FFmpeg, like where there's like an issue where we want to switch like the audio decoder that's based like on the Soundflower library that's based on the FFmpeg, and I kind of worked on like fixing some issues there, but then I ran into a problem where there's actually a bug in FFmpeg itself for decoding Vorbis files, and I kind of complained about it like online, or like I complained about it like on Blue Sky, and because I was like, okay, this is a problem, and I found like the issue about it, and I was like, do we look into different solutions? Do I look into this? And I actually had a person, like one person, like who's they apparently like a contributor to FFmpeg as well as LibVLC and like some other kind of like multimedia things, and they were like willing to like look into it, and they actually found like somebody's already reworking that part of FFmpeg, and they linked me some issues, and I'm like very appreciative of that, because like this is gonna help us a lot. And I'm not like well versed in FFmpeg codebase. I never like worked with it before. It's like it would take me a lot of time, and I kind of want to be focusing on that K. So the fact that they're actually working on it, like that helps us a lot. Once they kind of finish rewriting that system, fix those issues, and it ends up getting merged, we can kind of finish our part and then fix the issue and have better audio decoding. So thank you to like all the people like who are working on FFmpeg and those things and making our lives easier. I got a bunch of stuff all of a sudden. We have 2 minutes left, so I don't think we can answer too many more questions. I'm gonna check like if there's any maybe a quick one. So I think this might be the last question, and we need to like wrap up the stream. Modify arg.
Read it?
Yes.
Modify arg asks, question for Cyro. I noticed that Cherrypick has some newish comments, but were never published as a release. Are there plans to push a new build? Eventually, yes. I'm very sorry. I just haven't had a chance to like push a release. I'm trying to move all my stuff to Codeberg because I don't want to be on GitHub anymore for my personal presence.
Okay. So we're now in our last minute and a half, so like we're gonna wrap up the stream. There's a bunch of questions that popped in, but unfortunately like we're out of time. We had this like for 2 hours, so you'll have to bring those questions for the next resonance. We should have like one next week, so you should be able to ask your questions then. You can also put them like, like if you cannot make it, you can ask in the Discord. We're gonna open like a new thread once the stream for this one gets published. So for everyone, thank you very much, for joining the stream, for asking all the questions. I hope like you all liked the answers or that they've been kind of helpful. Thanks, Sarah, for like helping me with this one again. And thanks also, huge thanks for everyone, for supporting Resonite. Whether you're just, playing the platform, like, being part of the community, that helps a lot. Whether we're making like, cool stuff, like, making all kinds of gadgets and worlds and things, that's also helping the platform. And also like people supporting us financially. If you're supporting us, on Patreon, Stripe, or like, with all the subscriptions, especially BD underscore, thank you so much, because that kind of helps us, keep going. It keeps us, independent, so we can kind of, focus on the community as much as we can, and make the platform, for you, and keep the platform kind of aligned with our values. So thank you very much for everyone for the support. And also, one thing, if you're enjoying Resonite, consider also like leaving us, sharing about it on social media, showing like, some clips of cool stuff that's happening that helps like, show people what the Resonite can do out there. And if you haven't, like, consider also like leaving us a review so people can like, see what do you enjoy about the platform, what do you like about it. Oh my god, thank you, BD underscore, even more. I didn't move it in time, but we got confetti here. Actually, where's the thing? Oh, the confetti are gone, sorry. But yeah, thank you very much. And well, I guess we'll see you next week, maybe, hopefully, if things go well. We're gonna see if there's anybody to raid, so I'm gonna check. Let me check.
Pay no attention to what I'm doing.
Oh
Pay
no.
no attention to that.
Oh yeah, also happy Pride Month. Like virtually had event. Let's see. I'm gonna go. Are you gonna blast them with Pride?
Yeah, right before.
Right before, let's see, who is streaming Resonite? Is there anyone streaming Resonite? It might be just Greater Jam, so we might send you over there. They're building a pit. Very evil pit. Let's see, anybody streaming Resonite? Yeah, it's just Greater Jam, so we're gonna send you over to Medra, and his evil pit.
Say hi to Metro, everybody.
Creator Jam is a super cool event, like, let me Creator Jam. There we go. Okay, I'm getting it ready. There we go. Okay, so it should be ready. So thank you very much, everyone. Say hi to Medra, and like Sarah, I guess you can blast them with Pride, because happy Pride Month, everybody. Oh, that's not showing. And start the stream. Oh, I'm dying. Stop streaming, stop recording, there we go.